A blind Navy veteran lives with his foster daughter Phoenix. His skills, despite his disadvantage, have always helped him stay safe and sound. But when his foster daughter gets abducted, things get more serious and the man is ready to do anything to get his daughter back. 8 years later, a young girl is in the middle of the woods. She is running away from someone when she comes face to face with a dog. While running away, she jumps off a fence and at a distance, she finds a gun in a woman's bag with the car door open. As she is busy admiring the gun, Norman grabs her from behind but leaves her immediately. The girl is Phoenix, Norman's 11-year-old foster daughter. Norman is teaching her self-defense. He, along with Phoenix and their pet dog Rottweiler, Shadow, live in a decaying suburb in Detroit. After some time, Phoenix gives Norman a haircut. Phoenix finds it strange that they do not have any pictures of her mother. Norman explains how he had mentioned everything was burnt in a fire in their previous house, and how her mother had died there too. Phoenix longingly wishes to go to the town as it had been 3 months since the last time. Norman does not allow her as she had failed her survival test. According to him, Phoenix can leave only when she passes all her survival tests. While they are talking, Norman hears a horn from outside. He walks to the door and is greeted by Hernandez. Hernandez gets Norman's weekly grocery supply as she is his friend and former Army Ranger. She is Norman's only connection with society. After getting all the supplies outside the car, Hernandez asks whether she has to take Phoenix today. Norman answers negatively and Hernandez warns that if he continues to be this strict, Phoenix might run away. Scared of it, Norman allows Phoenix to go with Hernandez only on the condition that she should return by sunset. Phoenix is happy to get out after 3 months. She, along with Hernandez, leaves. While Phoenix is looking out of her window, she sings a song. Hernandez asks about the song and learns that it is the only thing Phoenix remembers of her mother. The duo decide to head to Norman's old house and promise each other to tell Norman about it. They reach the house but only Phoenix enters it. While she is inside, she hears someone head her way. Phoenix runs away as she is too scared to know who it is. After completing errands, Hernandez stops the car at a gas station. While Hernandez is working, Phoenix and Shadow are sitting in a park. In the background, a news reporter reports about the statewide alert for a doctor named Thomas Hanneman, who is on the run after being found guilty of organ trafficking in the Detroit area. Phoenix stares at the kids her age and wishes to have them as friends and have fun. She is brought out of her thoughts when Hernandez calls her. She asks Phoenix to get in, but Phoenix wants to go to the bathroom first. After doing her business, when Phoenix is washing her hands, a gang member named Raylan talks to her. Phoenix is a little intimidated but acts tough. She is about to leave but Raylan blocks her way. Before Raylan can do anything, Shadow growls at him. Phoenix, along with Shadow, leaves Raylan and walks outside. Raylan keeps staring at Phoenix till she is out of reach. Hernandez looks at Raylan and asks whether Phoenix is okay. Phoenix answers in the affirmative and they leave. Raylan orders his gang to follow them home. Norman is cutting some wood when he hears his daughter's voice. Hernandez offers to take Phoenix out next week, but Norman immediately disagrees, which angers Phoenix and she heads inside. Hernandez explains how it is important for him to let loose and not keep Phoenix on such a tight leash. At night, while Hernandez is driving back, she spots a car in the middle of the road. She gets down to ask the driver to move the car aside but is ambushed and eliminated by the gang. Phoenix and Norman argue as Phoenix wishes to go to a normal school and meet people her age instead of being homeschooled. Norman argues how homeschooling is safe but Phoenix disagrees to listen. Norman leaves the room while Phoenix reads the Covenant Shelter's pamphlet. Shadow heads out of the house. There, he is lured by the gang members who later eliminate him. Just as a normal routine, Norman fills Shadow's bowl but he starts to suspect something when he realizes that the bowl is full and Shadow is nowhere to be seen. He enters the house where 2 gang members point their guns at him. One of them realizes he is blind and they stay where they are. The members break in while Norman is outside. One of the gang members enters Phoenix's room. Phoenix, who knows something fishy is going on, tries to hide from them. Outside, Norman finds Shadow with a bullet wound on his body. As soon as the fact sinks in, Norman rushes to the house to defend it. Phoenix is still successful in hiding away from the gang members. When she is about to escape from the back door, a gang member shoots at the door. Phoenix startles and backs away from the door. The man stands in front of the door with his gun pointed at Phoenix. Before he could do anything, Norman breaks the glass and grabs the man by his head. While he is struggling to keep his hold, he asks Phoenix to head to the box. Phoenix listens to him and starts to walk away from the men only to come face to face with another gang member named Duke. Hurriedly, Phoenix enters a room and locks the door while Duke tries to break in. When he successfully opens the room, Phoenix tumbles down the stairs. Norman loses his hold on the man and disappears. Downstairs, Phoenix and Duke have a chase. Before he could get his hold of Phoenix, she enters a red box and locks the door. He is frustrated and leaves. Phoenix feels something dripping from her forehead. When she touches it, she realizes it's blood and starts to hyperventilate, and soon loses consciousness. Norman tends to the wounds he had gotten before. While he is doing so, he hears the footsteps of gang members. He quickly takes control of the situation. Duke desperately wants Phoenix to get out of the box, and he decides to add water inside the box which will force Phoenix to exit. While he fills the box with water, he hears one of his members informing him of Norman's presence in the room. He shuts off the water and directs his attention to Norman. He looks around but does not find him anywhere. He thinks Norman escaped but comes face to face with him. There, they fight. During the fight, a loose electrical wire enters the box in which the water keeps running and filling it. Phoenix tries to open the box and not get the electric shock, but to no avail. In time, Norman defeats Duke and saves Phoenix. Upstairs, Raylan enters. He is shocked to know that a blind man is giving them a hard time. He orders one of his men to break the door. Upon entering the basement, they find that Norman and Phoenix had left. On searching, they find the duo. Raylan is about to eliminate Norman but is stopped by Phoenix. Raylan tells Phoenix that he is her real father and proves it by showing a streak of white hair on the right side of their head. Phoenix has the same. He also adds that 8 years ago, their house burnt down because the meth lab in the basement exploded and Raylan was taken into custody and had to spend the last 8 years in prison. He is glad to meet his daughter as he thought it would not be possible. When Phoenix visited her mother's memorial in their burnt house, Raylan saw her and was thrilled to know that his daughter is alive. Norman had found Phoenix unconscious while he examined the burnt house with Shadow, and took her into his home and fulfilled his desire of having a daughter again. Phoenix is conflicted. She doesn't know what to believe. After sharing the whole story, Raylan and his members realized Norman had escaped. They all run in different directions to find him. The man who is in charge of keeping an eye on Phoenix is eliminated by Norman as soon as he is alone. He then takes Phoenix and hides. While Norman is finding out a way to escape, Phoenix demands answers. Raylan's dog follows their voices and reaches upstairs. Norman orders Phoenix to leave and she runs into a room and locks herself. Norman is followed by the dog up in the attic. Raoul finds Phoenix running away and he gets a hold of her and knocks her unconscious. In the attic, Norman tries to fight the dog. The gang decides to light the house on fire. After doing so, they leave with Phoenix. Norman befriends the dog and escapes the house. Phoenix wakes up in a hotel room with Raylan by her side. Raylan tells her that her real name is Tara and Phoenix shares that she wants to live in the shelter. She picks up her belongings and leaves. Dr. Thomas is also there outside the room with many other goons. Phoenix eyes them curiously and is almost at the end of the door when she hears her mother's song. Phoenix reunites with her lost family. When the family is sitting and talking, Phoenix's mother pukes blood. She is also stuck in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. She explains how 8 years ago, she mistakenly cooked a batch of meth which led to the explosion. The explosion burnt her internal organs and is the reason behind her current condition. While she is explaining the past to Phoenix, Raylan gives Phoenix a glass of juice. She drinks it and soon loses consciousness. On the other hand, Norman wakes up. He finds Hernandez's van where he learns about her demise. Norman cries for his loss. He is now motivated to fight against Raylan and get Phoenix back. Inside the van, Norman finds weapons and he uses them to arm himself. The dog then leads him to the gang's location. They were hiding in a hotel. Meanwhile, Phoenix wakes up and finds herself cuffed to a hospital bed. She looks around and realizes it's like an operation theater with 3 more people in the room with her. Phoenix's mother, her father Raylan, and Dr. Thomas Hanneman. Phoenix's mother is also wearing a hospital gown and is lying right next to her. Dr. Thomas Hanneman explains how it is important to keep Phoenix conscious, while he removes her heart for the transplant as there is a lack of proper equipment. There, Phoenix learns that she is only reunited with her family and met her mother because her mother wanted her heart to stay alive. The gang decided to kidnap her only to have a criminal surgeon. That includes extracting her heart to transplant it into her mother, since Phoenix is her only relative. She also realizes that her parents drugged her by adding something to the juice she drank before. While Dr. Thomas Hanneman is getting things ready inside, the rest of the gang members are outside. Raoul and Jim Bob are sitting together. Raoul shares his opinion on the operation. When Dr. Thomas Hanneman is about to start the procedure, the lights go off. He is forced to stop the procedure. Raylan hurriedly exits the operation room and orders his men to look around. They listen. Jim Bob is the first to do so. He picks up his hammer and walks out of the room. He reaches the main switch and is about to switch the light back on when Norman attacks him. They both fight and Norman wins in the end. The gang members upstairs hear Jim Bob's screams echo. Raoul knows it's Norman who came back for Phoenix. Raylan does not understand how Norman found their location. His dog enters the room and Raylan realizes it could be the dog who led him here. In anger, he shoots at the dog but misses it. The dog whimpers and leaves the room. Raylan orders Dr. Thomas Hanneman to pack his things. He explains to his wife how plans have to be changed. Phoenix is on her mother's lap while she wheels the wheelchair. Raoul along with the rest of his men heads to find and fight Norman. Norman uses the dark to his advantage and ambushes all of Raylan's members one by one. Raoul is left in the end. Norman leaves him and lets him go after he finds Raylan's intentions about getting Phoenix back. He also points out the way he should head to. Norman kills the surgeon first by using foggers for covers. He then attacks Raylan. The men fight and during their fight, one of Raylan's bullets hits Phoenix's mother and causes her wheelchair to move. Since Phoenix is handcuffed to the wheelchair, she is dragged too. Norman attacks Raylan's eyes and leaves him for dead. Phoenix escapes right before she could fall down the pool. Norman confesses the truth, his crimes, etc. He tells her to flee to stay out of danger. Raylan, who is still alive, stabs Norman. Phoenix then stabs her father Raylan, which leads to his body falling into the empty pool. Phoenix then proceeds to help Norman. She claims she can save him and Norman answers she has already saved him. Phoenix leaves and heads to the shelter she saw when she was with Hernandez. There, she introduces herself to a group of children who are playing. The children welcome her with a smile. On the other hand, Raylan's dog approaches Norman's body and starts to lick his hand. One of Norman's fingers moved slightly. It indicates that he is still alive.